I'm Andy Bailey, founder and CEO of Octopus Blue. At Octopus Blue, we help accountants and small businesses to optimize their workflow and recommend software to support them in that process so that they can be as time efficient and cost effective as possible. We're uniquely independent, whole of market advisors, so we can genuinely recommend the best software for your business. Today I'm going to be talking about how accountants can understand and evaluate the software that's out there and also work with their clients to recommend the best solutions for them. Okay, good morning. Welcome everyone. Wow, standing room only. It's great to see so many of you here, so thank you very much. So today I'm going to talk to you about how to choose the right accounting business software, both for your practice and for your clients as well. Start off with a brief introduction about myself. I started as an accountant around about 20 years ago, working for a small local firm where I grew up in Hereford. Worked for a couple of different practices. You can see the names amongst there, Baker Tilly and Grant Thornton. Now, when I was at Grant Thornton, I had the opportunity to work on a large tax project with the IT team, where we merged lots of tax databases, evaluated the software we were using, and came up with a new plan that could be used across the country. Now, spending the 18 months doing that project taught me a lot about how to evaluate and build on software, how to product manage and project manage the software acquisition and review process. And I enjoyed it so much that I had no desire to go back to doing tax returns afterwards. So I was very fortunate that the IT company we'd worked with, a company called MYOB, it's now part of Wolters Kluwer, recruited me to help work on their personal tax product that they were launching, and I worked there for many years and was the lead analyst for all of the compliance products that Wolters Kluwer make when I left. I then moved to a company called Exact. You probably haven't noticed the tiny little stand they've got here today, where I was the product manager for the UK when the product launched, and also for the accounting product globally. Last year, I founded a company called Octopus Blue, and I've been building on the experience I've had both as an accountant and as a business owner, and also working in the software company and the software industries to help people come up with the best software, the best business software for their companies. So a little bit about Octopus Blue and what we do. So we help both accountants, small businesses, to make their business processes as efficient, cost-effective as possible. We help people to organize their workflows so that they can really focus on what you do best. So you as an accountant can focus on your compliance, your bookkeeping, the financial parts, and building on your trusted advisor relationship, helping your clients' businesses grow. We are uniquely independent, completely whole of market software vendors. So whilst we have relationships with many of the people in this hall that you will talk to today, we're not tied to any single one of them. So we can offer completely independent, agnostic software advice on the best solutions for both you and your clients. And finally, we have a lot of expertise within the company, both accountants, software people, people who have implemented software solutions for some of the other companies here, so that we can help you get the software installed, configured, up and running quickly and efficiently as well. So what I'm going to do is talk through about 7 steps that I think you need to do when you're evaluating business software that you can use for your practice, and you can also pass on to help your clients as well. So the first thing you need to do is have an objective, set some goals. What do you want to achieve from reviewing and updating and improving your software processes? Without a goal, you're not going to achieve what you want to achieve. You might change suppliers, but you're not going to see all of the benefits from it. So a number of common goals can be I want to save money on the software I'm using. Some of the companies increase the prices year on year, and perhaps what was cost effective 3 years ago is no longer the case. It could be that my business is growing, my practice is growing, I've got more staff, and I need to think about doing things in a slightly different way, perhaps a larger piece of software or something with more sophisticated functionality. Or it could be that, I want to get more efficient. Maybe I'm taking on more clients, and it's kind of, do I need to start thinking about taking on a new member of staff? Or could possibly, by improving and making my processes more efficient, I can do that more work with the same number of staff. So whatever your goal is, be sure you know what it is before you start going through the review process. The next thing you need to do, and this is something originally we didn't do in Octopus Blue, is to help people with their workflows. But what I found is when I was helping people to talk about their software, and they said they want to automate, they want to streamline, they want to be nice and slick. And when I started asking, what do you want to automate? What do you want to make slick and efficient? They didn't really know. So you'll all be capable of doing this. It is something we can help with, but you need to have a workflow in place. You need to understand what you're trying to achieve. So let's say our goal is to be more efficient. What does our workflow look like that's going to help us to be more efficient? Do we need to start thinking about things like paperless office? Do we need perhaps to think about taking some of the manual processes out of what we do? But what are the steps that you absolutely have to do to be able to run your business effectively, and also for your clients as well? What do they need to do when they're thinking about their processes? And this is something you can add to as a business advisor, as the trusted business advisor is the trendy word that's going around at the moment. Your clients are expecting you to do more than just crunch the numbers these days. They want advice on improving their business, and you can add a lot of value by helping them think about process as well. The next one is perhaps a little bit more challenging. Thinking about what is essential, what are the must-have features that your applications need to have, and what are the ones that you would like to have but are not essential. Now, during my time as a product manager, one of the tasks I had was to find out and to speak to people and understand what people need from the software, what features should we build and how should they work. But what people asked for wasn't necessarily what they needed. So if I give you an example, one client I spoke to said there's this particular report we use, we'd like to be able to edit it in Word. It seems like quite a straightforward request. When you ask a little bit deeper, when you drill a little bit deeper, the reason they wanted to edit it in Word is because they didn't like how it worked in the application we were building. What they actually needed was the report to work as they wanted it to, and they had just assumed that the way to get there was to export it to Word. Great. So what I was saying just before the battery died on the other microphone is to think about what is it you really need? What are the must-have features for your practice or for your clients? Your software that you choose needs to have those. It's essential. Without these features, you cannot run your business smoothly. But there's bound to be lots of things that you think, well, I'd like to have this. And that's okay. It's good to have those things. It's probably unlikely you're going to find a piece of software that's perfect for your needs, that does absolutely everything you need it to. So it's those must-have features that you need to focus on. Okay, so we now have, we know what our goals are, we know what our workflow is going to be, and we've decided what are the essential features from our software, from the tools that we're going to use. Now is the time to think about what your existing software already does. Have you got something that fits the bill, that really does everything you need it to? Now, a lot of clients that I speak to when I'm helping them with this process, there is one application that they love, whether it be their bookkeeping or their compliance software or maybe their CRM software, that does everything they need it to. They don't need to change, but they have gaps further down the process, or they need something new to add there. Okay, so far we haven't really talked about software that much, which might seem a bit strange for a talk about how to choose software. But without those fundamentals, the next steps are going to be inefficient. So once you've identified what the requirements are, what you need to do, what solutions you already have that meet those requirements, and you've identified the gaps, now is the time to start searching for the software that you need. Now, what I recommend is that you do some research, whether it be online, in Google, however else you do your searches. Trade shows like Accountex, fantastic. Lots and lots of software vendors that you can talk to here. And of course, speak to your friends, people in your professional networks, see what recommendations there are there. But come up with a short list of probably around about 3 applications that are going to meet your needs, that are worth pursuing and looking at a little bit further. Once you've got those 3, that's when you can start to think about taking some demos in them, get the software vendors to show you what their application does, how it's going to meet your requirements. Take a trial of the software. Most software companies these days, particularly the cloud ones, will offer free trials, so you can get in and can experiment with the software with your own data and look around. Yeah, and really get a feel for how you're going to be using the application. Now, if you're perhaps a partner or an owner of the business that isn't going to be using the software on a day-to-day basis, I'd strongly recommend you get whoever is going to be using it to get involved as well. So perhaps you spend your time meeting clients face-to-face, and someone else is doing the work to prepare the accounts in whatever application you use. Get them to use it and make sure they're happy and comfortable with it and understand how it works. Now, what you'll find, and I know this from working at a software vendor, or more than one software vendor, is they have a lot of fantastic salespeople. And they know their products inside and out. And whatever your requirements are, they will be able to say that my software does this for you for X, Y, Z reasons, and we do this, and that's why you should buy our software. Now, from my own personal experience, I've seen lots of people buy the solution that has the best sales team rather than is the best fit for your software, for your practice, for your business. So be careful to get your hands on it, have a look around, see that it does what you want it to do, and you're not just being led by the salesperson. Then the final stage is then implementing the software. Now, a lot of the applications that we use for business these days are cloud-based. So there isn't necessarily an installation, a setup. We don't necessarily need to get involved with servers. But that doesn't mean there's no requirement to set things up, to configure things, to make sure your data's been migrated from whatever legacy system you have. And where you have more than one application, to make sure that they're talking to each other. So you want your CRM solution and your bookkeeping solution, for example, to be able to combine, share data so that you're not rekeying information from one system to the other. This can be one of the most difficult and time-consuming parts of the business, of the process. Things that are cloud-based, not difficult to install. Type in your email address, name, and credit card perhaps, and then you're up and running. But how do you get your data in there? And getting this wrong can be quite costly. So I'm going to go through, one slide too soon. I'm going to go through a case study now to talk through how I've worked with an accountant to go through this process and to show you where they got to. So this particular company I met at an event called QuickBooks Connect. As you might expect, loved QuickBooks, being at a QuickBooks event, but wanted to go paperless. Wanted to improve the marketing she did so she could attract more clients, and was using HMRC's website for filing tax returns and accounts, and was quite comfortable with that. So what we did is we sat down, we went through all of her requirements, what was she trying to achieve. So her goals were to go completely paperless and to attract 100 new clients by the end of the year. So 2 tangible goals that you could actually measure. We then looked at her workflows, and Anna, the accountant I was working with, we spoke about it a little bit. She went away and got a big whiteboard in her office, hundreds of post-it notes, wrote all the different tasks she does on the post-it notes and shuffled them all around, so that she had a good understanding of what her workflow was and what we were trying to automate and make slick. So it was only then that we started to look at what the different software options were, what features were essential, and started to bring some advice there. So this slide shows you what we came up with as our solution. The text is a little bit small, so you may not be able to read it all. But we've got here, QuickBooks, as I said, was the solution that she loved. She didn't want to move from, and she was doing all of her bookkeeping and payroll from that. So one of the first things she said she wanted to do was go paperless. So having gone through, looked at the different options we have, come up with some recommendations for different products, talked them through. She continued to use G Suite, Google Suite for her data storage, but also started to look at Zoho for her CRM and document management there as well. And one of the advantages of Zoho for this particular client, for Fabac, is that Zoho and QuickBooks have a very nice integration. So any data that you input in one solution is automatically there in the other, which makes things more efficient. You're not retyping information, and you remove the risk of human error. To improve on her marketing, she's going to start doing regular newsletters and mail shots, and MailChimp has again a nice integration with both Zoho and QuickBooks, so that she can look at that product. She doesn't need to export email addresses and move them to another system. The link is already there in place, so that she can send out those mail shots. On the expense management side, she started to look at a product called Expensify, so that her clients who weren't necessarily strong on the bookkeeping side, rather than having to input lots of data, could just snap a photo of their expenses and put that into the system. Again, that links very nicely into QuickBooks as well. Now, she's actually trying one other system as well at the moment, because she has a few customers that like to do their sales invoices this way too, which Expensify doesn't do. But she's looking at that at the moment. Then, as I said, she was using HMRC software for filing accounts and tax returns, and was originally quite happy with this. But when she looked at the workflow and thinking about all the things she was doing over and over again, HMRC software, website rather, doesn't store any information. If you use it year on year, you're having to rekey a lot of information. It becomes a little bit inefficient. So we had a look at TaxFiler for so a product that's quite inexpensive, very thorough, and again has a very, very nice integration with QuickBooks. So this was a nice, slick, efficient way that she can get through all of her clients, service their needs more quickly, so that rather than having to take on staff to expand her business, whatever cost that might be, £50,000 say, by the time you've put a recruitment agency and national insurance and all those types of things, and for a relatively small amount of money, she's got a nice, slick, efficient process. Now that is something she could do pretty well. She acknowledged that she could have done most of this herself, but the amount of time it would have taken her to go through all these processes when she wasn't doing chargeable work is when she decided it was really valuable to speak to a company like Octopus Blue, who can help her with the process. So a quick summary of all the different things we've spoken about today. The 7 steps that you need to go through when you're evaluating your software. So firstly, think about your goals. What is it you're trying to achieve? Is it cost savings? Is it efficiency? Whatever it might be. But know what you're trying to achieve before you even start. Review your workflow. If you're happy with how it is, great. If not, what do you need to change to make your process more efficient? Think about what are the must-have features of your software. What can you not live without? And what are those that you would prefer to have, but could perhaps work around if they weren't there? Assess what your existing software already does, and identify where the gaps are so you know where to focus your search. Only then do you start to shortlist what the applications are that you're going to review in your process, and start to talk to some of the software vendors and experts out there. Then once you've got down to perhaps 3 for each different piece of functionality, start to compare them, take demos, trials, get the person that's actually going to be using the software in your practice to get their hands on the trial and see how they feel about using it. Then you can implement, configure, set up these applications and get them working all together. Now, my company is called Octopus Blue, as I mentioned, and of course an octopus has 8 legs, so there is an 8th step. You can just call in Octopus Blue, and we can help you with this, save you the time, save you the effort, and let you focus on what you do best. As accountants, as small business owners, we can help you. We are the business experts.